First off, I just want to go ahead and say happy birthday to the channel. Today is January the 27th, and you know what that means. We have a special anniversary video today because it has been 1 year of me posting videos on this channel, and today I got 176 subscribers, which is pretty cool. Today, I wanted to talk about how the fishing pond in The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is still to this day my happy place. It's been for a long time, and I'm going to go ahead and go into the story of that. So, I think it was when I was like 6. When I was 6, I think that's the earliest I can remember playing Ocarina of Time. And I used to play it a lot with my brother. I wasn't really good at it. He was, but I wasn't. So, really, whenever he wasn't playing it and I got the chance to, I didn't do much in it. I never continued the adventure, the story, any of that. I just kept visiting around places and playing around with stuff. This was my earliest experience of Zelda. Just go ahead and putting that on the record. But there was one place that I loved to visit in Ocarina of Time, and that was the fishing pond in Lake Hylia. So there's a lot to appreciate about the pond or lake, whichever one you want to call it. But I think for the most part, the beginning of it was just how welcoming the area was. You got the goofy, fisherman with the hat. I think, you can even take his hat off if, you just throw your fishing line on it. It's just a beautiful area as well. You can see how the time of day begins to change the longer you stay there, just by looking at the sky in the background. The beautiful trees that ran up the walls, the water. It was just such a welcoming environment, and we cannot forget about the Kakariko Village music. The Kakariko Village music is just... I used to have dreams about that specific soundtrack when I was a kid, and they were always just... in my dreams, they'd be really welcoming areas. And so I think that's where the fishing pond kind of had a childhood significance for me. And so now that I told you all that, let's fast forward a little bit to my teen years. There are two things that I loved doing at the time, was running and playing retro Nintendo games. Just loved them. I had a Nintendo 64 and a GameCube, and I used to go by, little mom and pop video game swap shop stores, and used to just buy Nintendo 64 games, GameCube games, and I loved playing them. Even got a Game Shark for, I think it was my 13th birthday. That was dope. That was dope. A Nintendo 64 Game Shark. But one of my biggest motivators for running was my anxiety. I always had a lot of really bad anxiety around that age, growing up into a teenager, and I did go through a good number of schools. So anxiety was just rampant in my life, and running really helped me out with that. And so did playing these old video games. I just loved the Legend of Zelda series. It doesn't matter if I was in Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask, there was always great things to do and great places to go. Eventually, I did get in trouble sometime when I was around 16, and that resulted in me having to move with my dad in Florida. And around this time, I kept running, but I developed a new passion for music. So really, the only video games that I had there were my dad's Nintendo Entertainment System games, a couple PS2 games, and like 2 buckets full of Atari 2600 games. They were just awesome. I think I even have a picture of me beating Missile Command, I think it was called. Yeah, I played Missile Command for an entire night, just stayed up all night just playing Missile Command until I got to the highest score possible, which was just a bunch of exclamation marks. It was really cool. Finally, I came back to my hometown so I could graduate at my hometown high school for senior year, and a lot of really bad stuff happened around that time. A lot to do with my grades, even running. I fell out of running, at least to the competitive level that I was at. I think it's also important to mention around the time, the high school thing, I was trying to enlist in the military, and it didn't work because of some issues with my paperwork. That resulted in me just having so much stress and anxiety, and then depression, that I began pushing away all of my friends. Like, everybody that was close to me. Just began kind of like pushing them away. And became reclusive. Just staying in my room for, I'm pretty sure it was an entire summer. I just stayed in my room that whole summer. And another thing that had happened was, whenever I did go out, it was to go run. And I was running a lot because I was so stressed out and upset at things that I just began running a lot, and I garnered, it was patellar tendonitis, but at the time I thought it was just a small stress fracture. And patellar tendonitis, some people have a hard time identifying that between runner's knee. This was an entirely new beast. This made it difficult for me to put pressure on my right leg. If I put too much pressure on it, my right knee would go out and I would lose my balance. So it came a point where running was no longer an option for me. I just stayed in my area of isolation, and I had an old computer. Yeah, I think I still have a picture of it. I had a really old computer that at the time was built in like 2009, so it was built to run games like Call of Duty World at War. But I got some Project 64 emulator and ROMs, and I spent a long time hacking certain games. I even have like some old YouTube videos. I've tried to do this idea as a YouTube channel before. I'll go into that story on a whole completely different video. But basically, a lot of the earlier content you see from Zelda were things I'd known about for years. Because at one point, I spent pretty much my whole summer just hacking Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64. My plan was to make like a really big cheat table that hacked everything in the game, and then I was hoping I could get like some supporters on Patreon, and I don't know what I was thinking, but I was trying to make money out of doing something at the time that I found interesting. I found a code that hacked all of Link's animations, and you could freeze it at a certain point, because I was looking through all these animations. I was like, there's got to be something, super hidden, super secret that nobody's found yet. And I found the animation for Link when he's kind of getting up. He's laying down in the bed and he gets up. He's kind of got like, his arms behind him and everything. He's looking in front of him. Well, I made it to where it paused it at that one frame of animation, to where he's just sitting down with his arms behind him. And then I went to the fishing pond area, and I placed him right on the shoreline in front of the fishing pond. It was the most comforting image I had ever seen. I don't know what happened. It was just a small curiosity, and I ended up doing that. And it brought so much comfort to me. And with the beautiful music playing on my computer speakers, and me getting a view of, me pretending to have the perspective of Link, and just sitting there at the pond, looking out at a beautiful scene with beautiful music playing. I started going to sleep to that. I would get back up. I would, continue hacking the game and doing all this other crazy stuff. But by the end of the day, I would put him back into that position, back at the pond, and I would go to sleep to that. There's a funny little side note, but the Swanky Box made a video where he experienced Ocarina of Time in VR for 24 hours. I was so jealous. Like, 24 hours in Ocarina of Time's world. Now, when I did watch the video, don't get me wrong, there's reasons not to play Ocarina of Time in VR, especially for 24 hours, but there were certain moments in there that I identified with. At the end of the video, he was doing push-ups on the ridge of Death Mountain, and I would do a lot for that. I would do a lot for experiences like that in a video game that means so much to us. We have so much nostalgia with Ocarina of Time that when there's moments that people have like that, you can't help but just sit back and admire the beauty of nostalgia within that game. Anyways, back on topic. eventually I did move out of my mom's, and I started living at my dad's, and started working like a construction job. And this is when I met. She's now my wife, but this is where I met my girlfriend. And she had a kid at the time that was like a couple months old. The father kind of ran out on that whole ordeal. I started coming over to her house on the weekends, and I lived far away. Like, she still lived like pretty close to where I was before, but once I moved to my dad's, I was like a good distance away, and I would travel all the way over there just for the weekends to come spend time with her and her kid. Eventually, the construction job fired me. After I got laid off from the construction job, I got to spend more time with, my girlfriend at the time and her kid. I had like this. I still have it. It's a busted up laptop. I bought it off some drug addict at that construction job for like $20. I just sort of used that to continue hacking Ocarina of Time. And whenever I got stressed out or whenever I just wanted to feel really comfortable, I came right back to the fishing pond. The fast forward to today, I eventually did end up enlisting with the military. I'm in reserves. And I'm married to my wife now. Pretty cool. And her kid is now mine. From a couple months old to she's getting pretty close to 4 years old now. And that's really cool because it's my kid now. And whenever I get stressed out, I like to go back to the fishing pond. I even have a picture of it tacked up above the little singer machine that I like to do some of my computer work on. Instead of subscribing, I want you to tell me a happy place in a video game. What's a happy place? What's a place in a video game that you found so comforting that sometimes you still come back to it from time and time again? I know there's a few more that exist out there. I can list some off the top of my head. I'm sure there's a lot more happy places out there that people either found by accident, found through glitches, or maybe there's just a simple area that they love going to in a video game because it brings them happiness. This is going to be the video that ends Season 1 of Game Over. Season 2, there's going to be a lot more stuff happening. I am going to work. I'm going to work to make this more than just a channel that I was using to post hobbies. And Season 2, I got a lot of fresh new ideas. After this whole hard drive incident that happened, I think I got some time to just kind of reinvent my ideas that I had for the channel. Expect some new ideas coming pretty soon. And again, thank all of you for your support. Thank you so much. And thank you for 176 subscribers. I am so proud of this channel. And with all this being said, stay safe and take it easy.